So today is October 12th. There's a warning for October 13th. Happens to be Friday the 13th. What is the big deal about October 13th? Why is it trending on Twitter? Why is people talking about it? Why is it Googled? What does it mean? Let's jump into it today. This is something that should make you as an Americans, and especially dealing with all these conflicts going on in the Middle East, you need to be aware of it so that way you can be prepared, especially if you live in the big cities. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Yes, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content that we put out each and every day. That way we can keep you up to date with everything going on, especially when it comes to being a prepper, homesteader, or someone who wants to live sustainable. So let's jump into today's video. But before we do, we are going to do a giveaway this weekend. Now, you know we give something away every weekend to our subscribers. This is probably one of the biggest. I want to show it to you right now. What this is this is a chicken coop, a mobile range chicken coop. This company is a phenomenal company. We have 3 of these. We've used them for years and years. If you're looking and getting into chickens without having to build a permanent structure, this is a great buy. They've given $250. The company's given $250, so you have a $500 gift certificate for one of these mobile chicken range coops. Now, say for instance, you're not interested in chickens or you can't have chickens, that's okay. We also are giving away something else just in case the mobile chicken coop is not for you. So if you are interested in this company or want to know more information, I'll leave a link below. A phenomenal company. If you're wanting to raise chickens, this is a game changer. But now let's jump into the content of today's video. Friday the 13th, what does it mean and why is it trending? It's not trending because of Halloween movies. It is weird that it is in October, it is close to Halloween, but it's something a little bit more serious. Now, you know, we've talked about the Israeli conflict going on right now. Just today, Israel has struck Aleppo and Damascus and the Syrian border and the airport there. Reason being is that they found out that there was an Iran plane coming in that was going to be providing more weapons. So they did stop that. Now, we talked about how the worry was the north and how it was going to invade and start bombing Israel, because their focus was on Gaza. Well, it's what's happening. So this is becoming a very, very big conflict in the Middle East, especially against Israel. Now, the reason I bring up Friday the 13th and the reason I bring up tomorrow and the intensity there's been a warning from Hamas, one of their leaders, stating that tomorrow is a day of jihad. Now, what they're saying is they want all Hamas supporters, Palestinian supporters, and Muslims who believe like they do to harm America and harm Israel, harm the people that is not like them. Now, this should not only scare you, but this should scare you not just because of what they're trying to do, is the fact that they're willing to say it without anyone pushing against it, without any government official saying you can't do this and they should arrest them. It's amazing how, again, we put grandmas in prison and just because they're holding a flag, whereas we allow these people who are saying they want you to murder or harm Israelis or Americans on this certain day. That is a complete and utter threat. And what's even crazier to me is that we allow people in our borders, like people from Dearborn, how they're literally chanting Hamas support and almost pushing this movement to harm Israel and America, and we're allowing this to happen in America. Does that not just blow your mind? It's not just the fact of what is so special about October 13th and how they're saying tomorrow's the day of jihad. It's the fact that we're allowing threats to openly happen to America and Israel. I don't think anyone, again, from any other country would allow that to happen. And we're allowing it to happen from a leader of a terrorist organization that is causing issues. Now, here's my thoughts. I do not believe we need to be in a war. And I've told you that before. I don't think we need to be in Ukraine and Russia. Now, the thing about Ukraine and Russia has nothing to do with us. So that's really, even though we don't need to be in it, I still don't think we need to be in the Middle East fighting and putting our troops there. Now, one thing I do think we should do, and this is where I think Trump was extremely right, and even Obama, I'm gonna give him some credit too, and I don't know how much both those presidents had really dealing with what they did, but when it comes to military tactics, and like Israel knowing that plane was coming to Aleppo and to Damascus, why do we not have the intelligence to say, okay, we know where this gentleman is, we know where these threats are coming from, we know that certain weapons are coming across borders. Here's what I think we should do. Not start a war, not go in and drop forces, but why can we not start bombing these areas? If we're worried about nuclear threats from Iran, let's bomb the nuclear areas. If we're worried about this guy who is openly threatening America and openly threatening Israel for more attacks, for more murder, and innocents on both sides, both dying, why don't we take these threats out? You could do it with very good capabilities like we did Soleimani, like Trump did with Soleimani. Now again, I'm not saying Trump or Obama did that. I mean, it's the intelligence apparatus. And again, I'm not all for the intelligence apparatus going after people that are conservative or MAGA supporters, because they're not doing this. They're not openly threatening some other side. We are allowing this push for jihad tomorrow. Why are we even allowing this to be even taught? Why are we even allowing them to have a platform? That's not freedom of speech. See, there's where we cross the line. That's where the left has it wrong. They'll say, well, this is freedom of speech. And then they'll say MAGA's hate. Well, that makes no sense for one thing, but no, this is threats. Open threats to another individual or to a state or to a nationality or to a group of people. That's not freedom of speech. That is true threatening. You can't threaten someone's life and just say, okay, well, that won't happen. It's just freedom of speech. Well, no, it's not, because we see that Hamas has acted upon the threat in Israel. So again, even against Americans, 22 Americans, and they're still like missing, I think, 17. So why are we allowing these threats to go on, and why are we allowing October 13th to be a day that everybody is worried about now? And they're worried, do we go into the cities? Why do we want to live in frantic when we have people who are threatening to us, and for some reason, I bet you money, we absolutely know where they're at. So my thought is not to go in and drop troops anywhere. I think we got to get out of these foreign wars. But I do believe we could go in and do just what Israel did. Bomb an airport that we know was bringing in weapons. Bomb certain areas that we know that threats are coming from to threaten America and threaten Israel. Make sure we understand that we shouldn't allow that to happen. Nowhere. And to be honest with you, if we have terrorists here, if we're finding terrorists here off our southern border, or we see people in certain areas of the United States pushing these Hamas terrorist attacks, that's not freedom of speech. They're pro-terrorist. We need to exile them out of the country, send them back to where they come from, or make sure that they're not able to speak like this. Freedom of speech is one thing. Saying that they don't want death and they're Muslims and they stand for peace, that's freedom of speech. Saying that they're wanting this jihad they're wanting this jihad movement to go forth, and they're wanting death to America or death to Israel, that is threatening. That is not peace. That is not freedom of speech. I don't believe our forefathers said it's okay to threaten everybody's life. That's not what freedom of speech is. However, again, our FBI and CIA is pushing against grandmothers who had no weapons walking around the Capitol with a flag. We live in, again, a rural area in South Mississippi. Our worries are not probably what someone in New York City's may be, or someone who has a higher potential of threats, such as Israeli areas across America, especially, as I said, like New York, or Dearborn, where there is a big Muslim population. What I am saying, though, is if you live in these cities, and you live in areas that this kind of push is going on, where you're seeing pro-Palestinian movements, pro-Israel movements, and they're clashing in your towns, this is a day that you need to pay attention to. Not because maybe your life is risk, but the fact is that if that movement plays out and all of a sudden something does happen, what's to say that it won't happen on your streets? What's to say that your area is not safe? So I'm not challenging you to stay inside. I don't believe in locking yourself in. I believe in freedom. But I am saying you may want to pay attention a little bit better. Have a situational awareness about yourself to where you're not bringing attention to yourself. You can be a great man. You can do what you need to do, and don't just hang out in these clashes or protests. If you're wanting to cover the presser and you're wanting to film it, I don't know tomorrow would be the day, because it could be very dangerous for you, because you never know who is the one that's radicalized? Who is the one that's saying, you know what, I'm going to do this? Who's the one that's going to make the sacrifice for Hamas terrorists? We don't know that. I don't think Israel woke up the other day and just said, I know that they're going to make a major attack on us. I don't believe they probably thought that at all. You know, there's been little dust-ups, but that was a pretty big orchestrated attack. A plane coming with more ammo from Iran to Syria, that shows that this is not just a Hamas attack on Israel, it's the Middle Eastern movement to get Israel annihilated. And we have to be paying attention to that. I don't believe we need boots on the ground, but I do believe we could be very strategic, like we were with Soleimani, and take care of situations across the Middle East to say, you know what, we're not going in there, but we're going to stop certain movements. We're going to stop your nuclear capabilities. We're going to stop the movement of this ammo. We're going to make sure that you don't have the availability in the environment to keep causing issues in war and innocent lives to die. I believe we could come to a peace agreement based on us showing strength and solidarity to peace, not the fact that we have to put troops on the ground. I don't believe we need to be bombing Iran. We don't need to be bombing Syria. I'm not saying that. I'm saying strategically target certain locations to get the projects done that need to get done, so that way the threat for tomorrow and the threats for jihad in the future will not take place. We actually live in a culture where October 13th shouldn't be the day that we're worried about. It should be every day that we live, especially in these areas that are seeing more clashes. I told you we had to go to town in a few weeks, and we do have to go through one major city. Well, that always brings a little bit more situational awareness for me. I try not to have to exit on those exits. I try not to have to go through those areas. If I could go around them, great. But there's also some franticness there. Not fear, but I do have 6 children and a wife that will be traveling with me on that day. So if I have to go through those big cities, not that there's been clashes there, not that there's been any kind of uprisings there, but if all of a sudden we are now alienating ourselves to where BLM is standing with pro-Palestinian groups, we see Hamas supporters, then we see Israel supporters, there is causing a friction and more polarization in these bigger cities that could cause uprisings. So am I worried absolutely about just October 13th? No, I believe every day we need to be careful. So, you know, I'm always concealed. I'm always making sure that I'm watching around me. I'm not worried as much when I'm sitting at my home or when I'm going to my little town, because it's like 20 people here. But if we have to go through cities, or we have to go through areas that are like that, or if you live in those cities, just put your eyes out. Make sure that you're watching around you. We did videos on being in the city, living in the city, talking about situational awareness and being the great man. Those are the things that you need to be paying attention to, and making sure you understand routes in and out of the city, making sure you are taking care of yourself self-defensively, and that you have protection on you at all times. Watch your family. Tomorrow's a big day, not for everyday Americans, but for people who live in these areas that are a little bit more divided. It could be a day that we need to pay attention to, because that call by Hamas could be the day that someone is going to be radicalized. May not be the 13th. It could be next week, the next week, or the next week. The fact is, we're living in a very, very volatile time because of a situation that is now taking place that is never going to have true peace, because again, it's a spiritual battle. We talked about that yesterday and the day before. But the bottom line is, you're seeing calls of threats against Israel and America, and it's calls for Friday the 13th. Will it happen? Hopefully it won't. But just be aware. Understand that we don't live in a world of cupcakes and rainbows anymore. And I believe we have to realize that. And when we realize that, it helps us be better, helps us be wiser, and helps us have more of a prepping mentality to say, you know what, I need to pay attention to what's going on around me. Because when I pay attention with what's going on around me, I can protect my family the very best way. So guys, pay attention to tomorrow. Ultimately, we are facing a spiritual battle, so I would challenge you to be in prayer, for Israel, for peace, for the situation that's going on in the Middle East. I think it's going to keep on going to another big boil over and spill over as we see Iran, we see Syria, we see all these areas that are now going to start really pushing against Israel. The question is, can we be strategic enough to where we're not putting boots on the ground, we're not going into a 20-year war like Afghanistan, that we're being strategic, being smart, and making wise decisions to help, but help in the way that makes sense for the American people and for our sovereignty and freedom and peace. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Be careful of what you do each and every day, especially as you hear threats come like tomorrow. Be safe. God bless. Happy homestead.